Good morning. Welcome to our daily vlog about unsung heroes of the Bible. If you know me, you know I have a variety of mugs. I use a different one every day to drink out of. And today is this one that has a giraffe handle and has a lot of pictures of, as you can tell, African scenery. Bought this mug in Zimbabwe. I was there to help teach at a pastor's retreat a few years back, and that helps me remember to pray for those pastors in Zimbabwe. Well, our unsung hero today is in Exodus. We're still in Exodus 17. Remember, there's a battle taking place there, and Moses up on a hillside in prayer, helping Joshua win the battle down in the valley. But we're not talking about those guys that recognize their names. We're talking about those unsung heroes. And today, that unsung hero is Hur. Not Ben-Hur in the movie, but just Hur, H-U-R. Hur isn't a household name, obviously. That's why he's an unsung hero. But his actions helped to secure a victory for God's people, Israel, in the wilderness wandering. He wasn't the leader of Israel. He wasn't a general. He was just a faithful supporter at a critical moment. And that's important sometimes in God's work in this world. You see, there was a crisis in the wilderness here in Exodus 17, verses 8 and 9. In there, Israel had just escaped out of Egypt, and they were still wandering in the wilderness, and a dangerous enemy attacked. In Exodus 17, 8 and 9, it says, "Then Amalek came and fought with Israel at Rephidim. So Moses said to Joshua, 'Choose for us men and go out and fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the staff of God in my hand.'" So you get the picture. They got this battle down the valley. Moses is standing on the hillside with the staff of God in his hand. This was Israel's first battle as a free nation. And Joshua was leading the troops, but Moses was standing on the hill above the battlefield holding up the staff of God. As long as, we're told in the Bible, as long as Moses raised the staff of God in his hands, Israel was winning. But if he lowered it, if his arms got tired and he lowered it, then Amalek began to prevail in the battle. There's a lesson in that in and of itself. Victory comes not just from fighting, but God has a part in these things as well. His power is involved. But here's where Hur steps in Exodus 17, 10 through 12. "So Joshua fought with Amalek as Moses had told him, while Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. When Moses' hands grew weary, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. Then Aaron and Hur held up his hands, one on one side and the other on the other side, so that the hands remained steady until the sun went down." So Moses was the leader. Aaron was the high priest. Who was Hur? He was simply there. He was simply faithful. He was simply there to support by his presence. He saw a need. He filled it. There's a lot of people like that in our churches that do just that, and they are unsung heroes. He didn't give a speech. He didn't command the armies. He made a lasting impression by holding up the hands of a weary leader. The lesson in this is sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to support someone else in their calling. So this unsung hero had a part in the victory. In Exodus 17:13 it said, "And Joshua overwhelmed Amalek and his people with the sword." Hur never swung a sword. He didn't have a part in that. He didn't stand in any kind of spotlight, but without him, Moses might have collapsed and Israel would have lost the battle. Because Hur was willing to stand beside the leader Moses, he played a direct role in securing Israel's first military victory. The lesson in this is not all heroes are on the battlefield. Some are behind the scenes making the victory possible. Her has a legacy in Israel as well. He's only mentioned a few times in the Bible, but his influence didn't end with this battle. In Exodus 24:14, when Moses went up to Mount Sinai to receive the Ten Commandments, he left, we're told, Aaron and Hur in charge of the people. So Hur stepped up with some leadership positions. He obviously was a trusted leader. And some Jewish tradition says that he's the grandfather of Bezalel, who was the chief craftsman of the tabernacle. If that's true, then his legacy was passed on to his children. But you may never stand. Think about this: you may never stand on the stage or lead an army, but that doesn't mean your role isn't important in the church where you serve. He didn't preach like Moses. He didn't fight like Joshua, but he held the hands of a weary leader up, and that made all the difference. Who in your life needs support? Who's growing weary? What leader might be growing weary that you can lift them up by what you say or what you do? Are you willing to serve even if your name is not remembered? Hur was an unsung hero, but God saw him, and through his faithfulness, Israel was victorious. Well, God bless you. Have a wonderful day. If you like this, share it with somebody. Subscribe to the channel and see what's going on in my life at timsearcyministries.com. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.